Hey there in front of the screens again. It's the first night outside with the Sony A7 III. As you can see from all the fog from my bread, it is super cold out here. It's minus 15 degrees or even more with the wind chill, and yeah, I'm not sure how long I will be holding through because I find it quite cold. Should have put more clothes on. Anyway, I wanted to come here and try already a couple of night shots and see how the A7 III performs for astrophotography. And yeah, let's just get started because it's getting cold and I want to see some results. You probably too. Okay, I'm now putting the ISO up. I think I go straight up to 3200. And I put the f-stop small. Going down on 2.8, that's the maximum of this lens. Shooting at night, it is smart to not release with the fingers, because so that's why I put the 2 minute there. I think the ISO can go a bit down, I think. That's not bad. Okay, and here we have this first shot. So this was a 1 second exposure at f2.8 at ISO 3200. There's a small faint northern light over here. I was actually not even aware of that as it happened, because it probably was just simply too cold. Anyway, we do see over here that there's quite a bit of noise at the ISO 3200 level. So let's take a quick look at the other shots that I took that night. So this is a 4 second exposure at, again, f2.8 but at ISO 1600, and that has a little bit less noise, also if the stars are not sharp. Here we have a 4 second exposure at ISO 800. I think that is a lot better and something you can a lot easier work with, especially if you're not zoomed in this kind of perspective. It looks really decent. Here again is a 4 second exposure at ISO 1600. Not zoomed in. I again think that this looks very nice. Not a lot of noise that is seen, and even if you zoom in, there's not that much noise. And then the final image of that night at 2 second exposure at ISO 1600, and again I think that this is quite a nice picture, and the noise is not too bad. Alright, I am continuing my astrophotography experiments with the Sony A7 III over here. This is my third night out with the camera in the cold. The second night was over on this ski touring trip across the Alps that I did. You will probably see some of these images later on in the video. But now I drove out here to the frozen Baltic Sea. It's still pretty cold outside, but not as cold as the last time. There's also quite a little bit of moonlight and a little bit of clouds over there, so I'm not 100% sure how good the photos will turn out because of that. But there's the city behind me, so I will try to take some pleasing shots of the city at night, and then let's see a little bit later how those turn out. But now let's first take some shots. It's quite nice to shoot on a very low ISO and then see how much it loses. As you can maybe see, the screen flickers quite a little bit. I don't know if that's because of the cold. Could be it. It's slightly funny how I was just saying that the battery life on the Sony A7 III is fantastic even in this cold weather, and then the battery on the Sony A6500 that I'm filming this on died, so drove home the point. Yeah, this is still now, it's running all the time and it's now at 88% battery, and I'm already through one battery of the A6500. Alrighty, this is now filmed on the Sony A7 III ISO 3200. Yeah, I've got all the shots. Battery of the Sony A7 III still going super strong, but I burned through all the 4 batteries I had for the Sony A6500 with me. 3 of these were empty, so that's not a judgment on that other camera. But yeah, heading back home now. Oh, and I just had a quick look of the footage I just shot over there where I said I'm going home, on the screen of the camera, and that looked insanely good on the screen of the camera. So I'm really curious to see how that looks at home back on the big screen of the computer. But now I'm really like freezing. Ooh, let's go home. See the shots from last night. So this is a 1 second exposure at ISO 400, again with the Zeiss Batis, and I think this is looking really good. Even zoomed in, you barely can see any noise. Then we have here slightly different shot from the way home. This is a 15 second exposure at f14 at ISO 200, and also this is working very nicely. The light stars are really nice, and the light trails from the cars also work really well. Then we have over here a shot that belongs to a series of 4 that shows how much the noise goes up when the ISO goes up. So these are all 2 second exposures at f2.8. Here we have a ISO 200 shot, and that is really usable. Looks very good. If you do a little bit of processing on this, this will be a really good image. Then we have the next shot at ISO 400. That still is a really good shot. Very nice. Everything is sharp also for a change in comparison to the other photos from earlier, and almost no noise. Here we have the same shot at ISO 800. A lot more light comes in and the noise is still very low. So again, a shot if you want to do a little processing, then this is a really good image to work with at ISO 800. And here we are at ISO 1600. That's really light already. You start to see a little bit more noise in the image, but it's still, if you're not zoomed in, a very usable image that you probably even could use in smaller prints in magazines or something like that. Here is just a shot from the other direction at ISO 400 of the moon, just to show how much light there actually was out there yesterday. And then a shot at ISO 3200. This is a 2 second exposure, and here you start to see a lot more noise already in comparison with the lower ISO images. And here we have an ISO 400 image, but it's a 30 second exposure, and that is also very usable. Of course, you start to get a little bit of star trails. The stars are not anymore super sharp points in the sky, but if you scale the exposure time a little bit down, should be still a very usable image. Okay, that were all the photos I took during the last couple of nights with the Sony A7 III. Now also let's have a quick look at the video performance of the camera at night and at different ISO levels. Alright, so that were my first tests at quite cold winter temperatures at night with the Sony A7 III. I don't want to make any conclusions about this. I personally am quite satisfied with what I've seen so far. Of course, this is just a tiny screenshot of what the camera might be able to perform at night, and I will find that out during the next couple of months. And I think long-term testing for things like cameras and lenses is really the way to go. These kind of very short introductions to a new piece of gear, like I've now done them, are quite interesting, but I do think they're more important is to see the long-term performance, and if you're still happy after 3 or 6 months or 12 months or longer. If you are into astrophotography and filming at night or need a camera that is very good at low light performance, and if you've got any questions or if there is something that you would like me to try out in the next couple of weeks, then please just leave a comment with what you'd like me to try, and I will see if I am able to do that. If you found this video interesting and it helped you, then I would be happy if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay tuned for future videos about camera and night photography and action sports photography, then you might want to hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell next to it. That way you will not miss any future videos from me. Hey, thanks for watching again. I suggest you now go out and enjoy a beautiful day outside. I will do the same.